Into this Thursday morning live. It's pretty interesting the spot we find ourselves in as we all get together this morning. Unfortunately, last night I wasn't able to do a live. My son, when we got home, he crashed after school. He was up basically from like midnight, went to school, did fine, got home, and slept for like all night. He slept for like 13 hours, which was a blessing because he needed it. So I didn't want to disrupt him. Plus, I was watching over him and, just other things. Um, but he went to school today, he was happy as can be, and so far so good. But anyhow, this morning, like I said, we're in a very interesting spot. If you could do me a favor and hit that like button on the way in, help me push this content, help us reach more eyes. Even when people subscribe, they're having a very hard time finding the content when it comes out because it's not giving out the alert. So I will try to put out an alert myself for this particular live. I know the one yesterday did not get around. We had over 100 people in here, but it didn't even go to anybody who wasn't in the live until like 6 a.m. It didn't share it with everybody, which it defeats the whole purpose of doing it yesterday. So that's why it's important to be part of the lives, monitor, understand my approach, how I normally come on around 10 a.m. typically, especially during the school days. And then at night, if I do come on, which I like to come on at night, but it's particularly based around my son. He's special needs and he deals with a lot of things. So it goes based around him. But I'm glad we're here right now. The very important part, just if you're coming in here right now, I would say it's not the end of the world because right now we're at that critical support. And I kept it pretty simple in my title. I said XRP critical support level decides 30% price drop or 101K Bitcoin retest signal. And I'm not saying XRP is going to push the price of Bitcoin, but what I am going to say is if XRP does hold this level, it would suggest that Bitcoin has found a bottoming formation because we're not leading on our own right now. Not even XRP leads by example. Bitcoin is the one leading, and the example is felt and mimicked by the rest of the alt tokens right now. We kind of want it the opposite way, but that's not where we're at right now. So the reason why it's so critical this morning, and I think it's important for everybody to be involved, is because this $2.13 level we talked about yesterday, this is really the area that's going to decide if we need to worry or not. Because if we break this, yes, we can extend down to $2.06, which is why I discussed it in the morning 60-second analysis, or if you watch the shorter content this morning that I like to do in the morning before the live. That's why it's so critical, because just from here, if we were to lose this, that's an immediate 7-cent drop just to see if we can hold that next small area. And that's not the end of the world either. It's what happens if we break past, and we're going to go through all this and more. But I'm trying to entice people to participate during the live a little bit more as well. I know we get a lot of comments, but I mean like participate in your feel. Like, do you think, because I'm not a financial advisor, so I can tell you, and I do every single day, exactly what I'm doing, exactly what I feel like in the moment's going to happen. And we'll get into that today in a very big way. I promise. I'm sure I just shared this to the general public and to the audience. And actually, I'm going to do it 3 different ways, and to the people that are subscribed to the channel. And then I'll do it to the people that are paid subscribers, just so everybody gets a chance to see that. So, good morning. 10:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday. We'll take it down a notch. December 4th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So good morning, everybody. I hope your morning started off blessed. I feel good that my son's in school. It was very cold this morning, and that I got, my workout in, even though it was very cold this morning. But I digress. XRP right now can't even go. This is like, if you're new, I'll continue to describe it in this way. This is the macro micro. Can't get to here until we start looking at a little bit more thrush points, right? Are we breaking down? Even here's the micro, or this is like the micro. So you got the macro, micro, which is the culmination of what's happening in the micro time frames. You've got the micro right here, which is the inner workings that gets the guts. This is the guts of what we're going through right now to get us out to the higher point or shoot us down into smaller zones, which we would have to talk about if we break down. But this is the micro view that everybody should be interested in right now, because this is the expansion zone. I guess we could say at 204 now, not 206. I stand corrected. 203. I stand even more corrected. Look at that. Let's see. Let's just make sure. Yep. Looks pretty good. Let's go back farther. I don't like that. I was going to say something don't seem right. It's not that well. See what happens when I look at it on my phone? I looked at this before. That's better. I was going to say there's no way it's 203. I know this for a fact. It's around 206. Even that's too high probably. Only because I came through the first wick last time. See, that's better. I was going to say there is no way that it's 203, 206. It's like I'm not looking at that for no reason, and then it disappears. But anyhow, so the immediate right now is in the micro. You're looking from this expansion zone. And to me, it's very simple. We have a pattern built. We've seen the 3 different scenarios in the smaller time frames, how it could play out. And then we created this over the top when we started to try to break out here. We created this structure, and it's very simple to follow. I think it's creating a very simplistic setup that has many different outcomes right now that makes it a little bit tricky right now. So we have resistance, over spike back down into the consolidation, couldn't break out, broke back down into the pattern, back out. So right now is this V shape playing out, and are we going to get a solid recovery, which means it can't come below here. If it comes below there, it's going to invalidate this, and maybe it is a topping reversal within this. And then it's going to come down to probably that $1.77 to 82. Now, I can show you a scenario where it comes down to like $1.85 and possibly holds, depending on how long it takes. But we need to see if this is validated. So for this to be validated, we're going to have to hold this micro. In the talk, when I start talking about these small individual levels, for some reason, people will leave. But I feel like if you're trading XRP, if you're a fan of XRP, if you're trying to learn XRP, you need to know this. It's very finicky with XRP. Like, it really does move within these micro aggressive movements. And it's not just this token, but if you can get on top of XRP, you can get on top of a lot. Is it a cup and handle in the 4-hourly? We won't know unless this plays out and holds. If it holds, abso-friggin-lutely, it could have been. But we're trying to see right now. See how we have this nice V shape? You could, look, see, this is what we talked about yesterday, if you were here. You could start to extend this and come down. And what if it extends out and then comes out? I mean, you could start to say that that was like a little shoulder. This V-shaped recovery is actually a head. It validates here, or it validates here. It doesn't really matter. But once you break it's about 212 now, isn't it? 212. Let's see what it really is in real time. I think it is, because it moves down as we come. So 212.38. Yesterday was about 213.5. So we need to see. We need to see if this is actually a breakout, because this could be a flag here still setting up. A nice bullish continuation. That's why it'd be nice if we held this 212 area. Oh, it'd be fantastic. Even if we hold 206, wouldn't be awful. But it could show us the bulls are in control if we held 212 especially. Now, the reason why that would signify that Bitcoin might be going to 101 if that's what's happening is because if XRP is holding this very minimal support hold here, that would suggest XRP is not going down, but in fact, it's going to come up and retest the 4-hourly, which let's go on a clear XRP chart. Well, I mean, it's not clear, but this was the short term that we talked about for these over the top resistance that was starting to build. And these are just like the minuscule things to do. To see how minuscule? But that's what we're facing, something like this. That's why we had it like this. There's nothing underneath. It's just what it was coming over the top to. So, I mean, if you want to look at it from a basic level, you can see why we got rejected at this level, because we had this very small setup. You know, this is even more micro. We broke down, came up and retested. So you see how this broke down even, like, there's so many ways to look at it, but just breaking it and getting outside of all the, even the macro view, sometimes just looking at it like this, you know, for me, it gives me a fresh perspective. Um, because you get into such a small scale now. This had consolidation, broke down, V shape, but now it just came to retest the breakdown. So this can be dangerous, is what I'm saying. That's why this decides our fate. Are we gonna have a 30% or more drop here? It's we've hit critical mass here. Now I can show you what we need to keep playing out in this perspective. Because if you make a lower, I'm just telling you right now, this will be another. This is why when I do classes, it's going to be a fantastic little thing that you'll understand as well. And that has nothing to do with YouTube or Telegram. This is, and there's gonna be a sign up, and once it's over, it's gonna be like a regular class. Once the sign up's over, you're going to have to wait 4 months if you want to partake in it, because nobody's coming late, because everybody's starting at the starting line and everybody's going to get to the finish line. We're not having no exceptions. There's not going to be no additions. I don't care how much money you offer. If you're not there in the beginning, you're not joining. And there's going to be a several week sign up period. I can't wait to do it, but this is going to be another thing you're going to learn. Came down to a low, consolidated up, came down to another, right? A higher low, consolidating. If this comes down and creates another low, and it fucks this up, and now we're not on higher lows, and now it's starting to create a note. That's where you're like, uh-oh. Not only did we break out of this short term back test, failed the V shape, now we made a lower high. I mean, a lower low. We're trying to make higher lows here as we make lower highs. And if we can make one higher high before we make a lower low, it's continuing a bullish trend. If we make that lower low first, we are continuing a bearish trend. That's how that. You got a Garbanzo. You got an alert. Excellent, because I sent it out, and I noticed when I sent all 3 of those alerts out, we went from 61 people to over 100. So I'm going to have to start doing that as we start the lives, because it definitely reached some people, I would have to say. And thank you for being in Tom's on for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor along with my yard now. Does that make sense, everybody? And I know I can only show you so much within a live setting. But these are the details we're going to talk about so deeply and weeks on end. It's not just going to be one session. We're going to go through the reasons why and what it exactly tells you too. It's just, there's going to be so much stuff. So much stuff. And just thinking about 2 hours a week, you know, an hour a day, twice a week, 4 times a month. I mean, all that we can do. There's so much we can do together and so much to learn. So much to learn. It's going to take a lot of my time. So you got to put a little bit of a price on your time. But I'm trying to figure out a way to do this instead of going to get another job, because I'm trying to secure my son's future, because he's never going to be able to work. He's special needs. And I can do fine right now with what I do. It's just I got to try to make and work a little bit harder to pick up the slack that he's not going to be able to do. So I'm thinking about that now. Well, I'm only 42 instead of, 60. So, if you see me pushing towards another venture, it's something I've thought about for a long time, because I used to be a personal trainer. I've taught in other things, but the technical side of things is where my passion really is. And I'd rather do it here instead of going to, because I've got offers to go to these different institutions to be an analyst, and I would rather not do that. I'd rather just keep doing my own thing. So if I can make it work, and then put away for my son, and I wouldn't go away from YouTube, but I'd rather just dedicate all my times towards my craft, if that makes any sense. We're going to do evening time, Garbanzo. Absolutely. I'm not doing it in the morning or afternoon. It's going to be at nighttime, Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what day. I know I want to do it twice a week. But I'm working to try to get some market feedback. That's why I talk about this every so often. And I'm also trying to give you my reasonings why I'm doing it. It's become very apparent to me, my son's future. And it's not a cheap future for him. So it's either I do this or I spend less time on YouTube and I go work as an analyst somewhere. And I particularly don't really want to do that. I've always said I will do what I have to do, but obviously by being as good as I am on the charts, it's gotten some interest from some who have come across what I do. But anyhow, I think that's neither here nor there. It probably would be somewhere around 8 o'clock, to be honest. That's not a unrealistic time. Now, I have to think about my friends who would be doing this on the other side of the world as well. But yeah, um, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But the YouTube stuff stays the same, so it's only going to make the YouTube stuff stronger, especially as I find better and better ways to incorporate this. But anyhow, enough of that. That's just something that I'm oh, my yard now, you're in the UK. See, exactly. That's what I mean. I so appreciate everybody who's willing to support and understand exactly what I'm doing here. You can pay it forward here on YouTube if you appreciate the time I put in and join Tom's Army. You know, that's another way. Or gift to somebody. But anyhow, I just want everybody to realize how important this is. Seriously. Because if we're getting rejected here, I drew this line underneath because technically that would be that's our, okay, guys, we've got to hold this line. There's no other way around this. And I know we have all the other charts, but I think in real time, don't you agree it's better to look at this microcosm? Did this help at all? I just want to know. By going to this chart and doing this freehand just now in front of you and showing you the exact, does this help showing you how we came into a V shape? We had this small breakdown. Now we're back testing this area of control. And if we lose this, it's going to send us back down here to retest likely. And that's why I said I can show you the $1.85 when we started. It's somewhere, if we do this by December, oh, that would be tomorrow. Oh, God, it would be calling for a bloody weekend. Oof. Interesting. Let's just say that was a rejection, just for the hell of it. We're going to go to the biggest area of resistance from a support structure that is kind of like the make it or break it area between we're still in a bullish consolidation or we're going into a bear market. So let's go to that area, and that's why I put it in blue. So that area gives us about 13% breathing room. That's not a lot of breathing room. Okay, so basically we're in a fight right now. Holy shit, are we in a fight? Either this is a rejection in the very micro, and it's showing us, oh boy, we've got some transgressions going here that it's trying to give us the illusion that we can stay bullish, like something like this, because we're breaking out of a longer term. But the moment you break it down into the actual smallest of details, look what it actually shows us, the just catastrophic rejection we're facing right here. And it doesn't matter. This would mean we wouldn't hold the 206 lightly, or 204 to 206, if this played out as a rejection. This is telling us everything we need to know right here. We need this to hold. And the 4-hourly is not looking good. Massively overbought yesterday. And now it's pushing down. I would imagine the daily's probably not in our favor now. And I would imagine the weekly's in our favor and the monthly's just pushing into oversold, which would actually welcome one final push down here in the monthly to push it massively oversold. Let's guess, but we can see how this is going to play out. Weekly, massively oversold, hitting the rejection line. Monthly, just about to push into oversold and just breaking into a horrible look in the moving average convergence divergence. That's a warning signal. We just got a warning shot. Fuck. But then again, there is a super moon, which means we should get one last corrective this weekend. Isn't it Friday? Ah, fuck. The last time we had a reversal signal, it didn't pan out. It was right here back in July of 24. So maybe this is a fake signal. You don't want to go through that. We do not want to go through that. No, they need to pull harder to find. You are so right about that. And thank you and Crypto Cooter for being in Times 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. And also very trusted mods in here and the Telegram. Really appreciate it. Oh, the supermoon is tonight. Ooh. God, I hope we hold this. If we let's just put it this way, if we hold and we were able to break out from these areas, oh God, would it be phenomenal. It's just, you know, we've got the optic here right now that's showing us in the very smallest of details why we have a problem right now if we can't push past here. And it did it exactly the way it was supposed to. Even the 4 hourly is starting to break back in the wrong way in the moving average convergence. So we need some strength here by the Bulls. My yard now, thank you, mate, for the not only being in Towns under 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, but also gifting a sub. That's unbelievable. It says Sean and Dad were gifted a sub for their first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. That is super generous and super awesome. Wow. My face is superimposed on that emoji badge. That always gives me a chill when somebody does something like that. Thank you so much, my yard. Now that is unbelievable. Thanks for celebrating the reasons why, Tom. I know you are navigating your core value. Absolutely. I'm trying to. While doing what you need to do for your family's security. I like that you looked at it from that perspective. Thank you, Defined. I'm glad it came across like that. I only speak from the heart. Just send it. Thanks for being in Towns under 3+ months with the XRP Meteor as well. It says freehand helps me as I am a visual learner. Thanks, Tom. You know, I am very much a visual learner myself. I like to hear it and see it. So I noticed by doing in the morning, and I know they don't get a lot of views. I understand. I'm not about the views, I'll be honest, when it comes to these things. But for the visually and the hearing impaired, I started to write it out, the morning analysis, and then I read off of it now. And it's just I don't get into anything deeper than that. You know, and I acknowledge who I'm trying to target, and then I've gotten feedback too from the visually. I didn't know we had so many visually and hearing impaired in the audience. I should have known, but I didn't. I guess I was a little. So now I'm going to try to figure out a way to take these lives, and it's going to take time, and transcribe them in the best way I can with, with reading behind it. Maybe I'll use AI for the whole hour just so someone can hear it. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure out how to do that because doing it for 60 minutes and trying to break it down, it can get pretty difficult. So, but yeah, I've been enjoying doing that. I do it when I'm doing my morning workout. I got very frustrated at AI this morning because it was not representing it in the way I wanted it to be. It was doing it in a bullet point. I'm like, listen, just because they're hearing and visually impaired, it doesn't have to be in bullet point. I want them to hear it the way I'm saying it. So I wanted it written in a way to where I can read it from a more professional standpoint, but not in bullet point. I don't want them to feel like I can't see that good either. I can't see out of my left eye. So a lot of times things are hard for me too. So I like to hear it and see it. AI will auto generate captions and dub it for you, I think. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I put it into AI so that it can. That's what I've been doing. I've been putting it into AI, my 60-second clip, have it transcribe it, and then I fill it out myself to make it sound like I want it. Because a lot of times it gives you it and it puts it in bullet point, and then you have to just a bunch. But it is very helpful. It is very helpful. Yeah, Clink. Is, thanks Shane for being in Towns over 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, along with Tin Bender Bear, which we know is Mr. Stott. Hope Mrs. Stott is doing well as well. I don't know if I've seen a comment from her yet. Why would Vanguard wait to enter this space at a bad entry point in the same week? I don't think they just blindly pulled the trigger on their entry. Maybe, but I know. You're right about that. I don't know. There's some things that aren't making sense. Like Michael Saylor essentially creating his own Bitcoin treasury or trust. And when he first announced it and it first went public, he was actually underwater. Imagine a trust or a treasury being underwater. So what I think is that it's setting us up for some kind of big push here. I don't know if it's going to, I can't tell you because I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you that our crystal ball is telling us we need to get above this very minute level to avoid coming back to this level potentially. So if we don't want to take the downward route of 15% at minimum, We're going to need to get over this level at some point. It doesn't matter about 206 or 189 or 198. It doesn't, or 212. If we can't get over this area, eventually it'll just reject so much that it's going to build a big enough base and it's going to crash through all of them, and it's not even going to look back. It's going to be like a race car that's much more efficient than another on the track. Maybe for the first 10, 20, 30, 40 laps, they're even. But as the wear and tear, as that real construction, as those real working hands that knew what they were doing, putting something together, that structure maintains, that car starts to blow away the competition as they start rattling out, the tires start falling off, who knows, the struts start coming loose, anything. That's how it is with the market. We need the structure to maintain, otherwise it starts to come unraveled. Now, it's been unraveled for the last 9.5 months, 10 months now, 12 months. Can't believe it's December. But it's trying to make some kind of bottoming, so hard to describe in just a small setting, but it's trying to create, and it's a shitty one at that, but it is not so shitty, but okay, fuck it. Here's what we're trying to do. And I know every single chart's different. I know every single chart has different support resistance. I know every single chart, some came down lower, some went up higher, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do it like this. You have a low, a lower low, the cataclysmic low. You have a high, a higher high. If we fail, and let's just say we do this and create a lower low, and we continue down this trend, you see something missing here? We failed to make another higher high, which means that's a big drop to the next lower low. You see what I'm saying here? Just to break this lower low, you're going to have to come on this chart down past 80 cents. So it is in our best interest to use this as a bullish megaphone, the way it's set up, use this as a bullish consolidation, like a flag almost, within a channel, and use this as a bullish continuation up to here. Otherwise, if we're not coming up to that $4 range, or somewhere around there, we're coming down there's really no other way to describe this chart. You have a low, you have a lower low, you have a lower low, you have a high, wait a minute. Yeah, a high over here. You have a higher high. An absence of another higher high and the emergence of a lower low, even if the pattern didn't break down, it did break down. Because to make that lower low now before a higher high is made, even if it doesn't completely break down the pattern, it's just broke down your portfolio to make that lower low. I mean, just to make that, it's going to be another 60%. So that's all we have to pay attention to. With how massively oversold it is in the weekly, do I think we're just going to break down? I think if I was a betting man, I would say this is the biggest ploy in the history of ploys, and they're going to beat everybody over the head that becomes a trader and thinks that it's just 100% over before it's over. Don't count your blessings before you've prayed. Don't count your chickens, before the first egg is hatched. Like it's don't, like if you're growing food, don't have the harvest sold before you maximize the harvest. You never know. An animal can come, a storm can come, pollutants can hit, bugs can, destroy the soil or the plant itself. Mr. Stott says, we talked to a Vanguard advisor a while back and he looked like he just saw a ghost after we mentioned crypto. Oh, they've been accumulating. But guess what? Here's the thing. Some people are like, well, why would they buy at a bad level? There is such a thing as, investing, knowing full well that it's going to go down big time, and using that in the next tax year, at the same tax year, to start writing off losses, to start, meeting some of the gains you have elsewhere. It's a ploy that's used often. And they just say, the hell with it. I'm going to use this money. It goes down. If I'm down next year, I'll just sell and rebuy it back. And it's just, they have so much money invested that they can do things like that and not really feel it. But, some things don't look good. There's no doubt about that. And some things can give you hope. And I've been trying to show this morning, especially in this chart, just the optics. funny. That went from a chart that was just supposed to be me drawing in the short term, and now look what happened. Now all of a sudden I went from the... Oh, wait a minute. Where did that other chart go? Is it above it? I thought I had one more. What happened? Oh, was I up too far? Maybe. No, apparently I decided to draw the whole damn thing out again. Oh, that tends to happen. Oh, we definitely went through and drew this whole thing back out. See? Even I forgot we did all of that. Ghost, you want the window open? It's kind of cold. There you go. But yeah, we've worked on this big time. This basically sums it up from beginning to end. Looks like we did sunny days on here once, but that's the pattern we broke out of. And then if you actually broke down, we talk about it because you could reestablish. And if it's a breakdown and this was a crypto winner, well, I'm telling you right now, you're going to retest that 10 cents if that happened. That's why this is so important. It's not just about this initial drop. Like, who cares about the 30% if it were to immediately just come away? What I'm worried about is we've never retested that December of 2020 10.3 cent low. We just kind of ran out of there after and never looked back. But that can't happen unless because you could use that as okay, well, you see how bullish we are? We never had to come back there because there was never a demand for that zone ever again. And that'll, that's just one of those that remains open and yada, yada. So that's what I'm really looking at this right now to see if we get another. We really just need a higher high here. In the grand scheme, we need to make sure we make that higher high to continue this pattern. If we make that lower low, even if the pattern continues, it's such a big drop. It's like a 60% drop to make that lower low. So, I mean, no matter how much you like XRP or any other crypto, do you want to sit through another 60%? I would think not. So we break it down into the micro so we can front run the macro. That's the importance of understanding technicals. That's the understanding of the very small time frame and understanding from the very minutest level what's going on. Do I think this is going to break down? Not necessarily. Like I've been saying, I can see a big slap in the face to everybody who thinks it's just going to unequivocally break down. So if I thought it was just going to break down, if I just thought it was going to go away, I wouldn't be invested right now. But right now it's in that I'm intrigued zone is where it's at. I'm intrigued. Even today, it's back testing the possible breakout here in every possible way we can imagine. The best way to look at it is this if you're looking from a breakout backtest perspective. And best case scenario, it holds 212. In my opinion, that's best case scenario because then you don't have to worry about trying to come to 206 and worrying about the possibility of in the short term how I was showing you that rejection. We don't have to worry about that because we never have to come back down there. And then we'll retake what I think is this very critical level that it's telling us right now, you got to get above this. You got to get above it. You just got to get above it. You get above it, you're cooking. Oh, we're cooking. So if you want to talk about when do we start cooking, here. This is when you start cooking. Take a picture. It'll last longer, I promise. You start cooking when you pass that area and hold it. How far do we cook? Oh, simple. We cook up to $2.37 approximately if it happens by the end of the weekend or into Monday. Oh, Shane, I don't tell people what to do, but I can only talk about my experience. Wait till you guys start making a bunch of money on upholds and then come back and tell me how easy it is to get your stuff. They don't mind giving you it when you're losing money. No exchange does. The only time they ever invoke their shadiness is when you start making money. But I've had my experience with Uphold. I've made my peace with Uphold. I'll never use it again. But I'm not going to let it, I'm not going to tell somebody else what to do. I just know what happened. And that can happen on any exchange too. So, you know. But anyhow, Dan, welcome in and thanks for being in town over 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Let's see. Bitcoin moving on the 1 hourly. Yeah, we moved in the right direction so far, that's for sure, since we started. Same with Bitcoin. This is good. And remember what we talked about yesterday for anybody who's here. If you weren't, this is very important. We need to hold 92,000 in real time, about 386, because then we can use that fair value gap we came back down to. It ranged from 88,420 to approximately 92,385. If we use that as a support area, that almost guarantees us that push to 101 to retest the rising wedge. Now, that's when I'm going to get nervous. Like right now, I'm not. I'm going to get nervous when we get around 101 when we try to retest that. Because I think if we're going to break down to 72 or even worse to 59 in the worst case scenario, you have to retest that rising wedge, which is another thing. Pattern recognition is another reason why classes will be important. We can spend a lot of time on the difference between rising wedges, ascending triangles, because they are cataclysmically different. If you misrepresent a rising triangle and say it's a rising triangle is a bullish continuation, as a rising wedge is a bearish breakdown in the making. It's a very big differential. It's just like if you misunderstand a rising channel from a falling channel is a bullish consolidation. Most times, I'd say about 85% of the time with my experience. As they're a rising channel, you're breaking down probably, upwards of 90%. I know. Why more of a chance to break down? There's always an easier chance for sellers to find the market than buyers. Remember that. And the reason for that is it's a lot easier to sell a position that's already bought than find money you don't have, right? Nope, John, that's a good way to approach it. Once you find your area, you buy, you make your peace, and then you, if you so choose, if it goes in the wrong way, you can buy more or you just wait. As long as you buy, the problem that ends up happening, though, is a lot of people take that mindset and they'll do it in the bull market. It's a great logic to have in the bear market. I think it's a good logic to have when the weekly and the monthlies and the stochastic RSI are down in this oversold. And that's where we're at right now in most of these. So KRAKEN won't even verify me. Been 9 months. Really, Shane? It took me, it verified me very quickly. Not even a few hours, I think it was already. Yeah, I don't know why that is. Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason with exchanges. I wouldn't even use KRAKEN, but on KRAKEN Pro, the fees are 99% cheaper than on like a crypto.com and Uphold and all the other ones. But you're paying like $5 a month or whatever. But you also have to pay attention because sometimes there's the lack of liquidity, and you'll notice it with things like DAG, especially ones that have the small liquidity like that. You might take days to try to buy it. It took me days to get it at the 1-1 or the 126 when it was at 126 because it kept trying to show 142, and I'm not paying 142 when it's at 126 because now look. The stuff I bought at 126, if I would have bought it at 142, I'm getting my ass handed to me because it was at 126 or 128 or whatever it is. Yeah. So I don't buy it in those situations, but it is a pain in the ass. But it's also, we're getting a rude awakening right now is what we're getting. I think a lot of people got way too greedy with cryptocurrency because of that move in November, not understanding how the cycles actually work. And right now we're trying to build a cycle builder. Like this right now, even with SHX, we're trying to build left shoulder to the bottom, to the right. We're trying to build a cycle reversal. But like for this one, it would take holding that 107 area approximately. Like I don't make the rules. I don't want it to have it that restricted. But I know if we're trying to overtake this, this is how we have to do it. And then we can start forming a bottoming formation, and it continues the, ready? And am I happy that it's in an ascending fashion? Not particularly, but when they're like this and they're expanding, I don't look at that so much as a rising channel. This is just an expanding pattern. It's just an ever evolving, and it appreciates and then contracts. That's not telling me that it's a rising channel. This is something different that we could discuss in a class setting. Why this isn't like a typical, but anyhow, so you had resistance. We didn't know that until it happened. To support structure, that double tap allowed us to see a support structure to resistance. So nothing here. Buy support, sell resistance. Even if you didn't know it then, buy support, sell resistance, buy support. So just by logic, until the pattern shows a breakdown or breakout, you'd continue to hold. So how do you know? You don't until it does. You really don't. You can't, you won't, and you don't until it does. I'm verified through Played on multiple exchanges. I don't verify. Oh, wait a minute. Played. Oh, I got you. Well, I mean, unless that's so that you can send and receive from a bank account. I don't know why. Verified on. I guess everybody does things different. No, I don't talk crypto taxes at all. That is not my ballpark. There's too many variables. That's not my lane. I can't do that. You have to go to a tax advisor. That's something I'm not getting involved in because there's too many variables, too many different things. There's too many untraceable things in crypto. There's just too many things that go on behind the scenes that I'm not comfortable doing that. I'll stay at a technical level. I'm not getting into taxes. I apologize, but that's not my forte. Because right now there's not the proper framework, and even people using software, if you go to an exchange that's technically unregulated, that software doesn't work. So, and it's for a reason. Those companies don't want you using it on it. So there's safe places because technically we're banned on certain exchanges. That's why I'm not using them anymore. You know, I can see the legality issues that are starting here. Dan or Dekur, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 23 plus months. That is awesome. Lions at 7 p.m. Plan accordingly. Laugh out loud. Hit the likes, people. And he gifted a sub as well. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around all these comments. But thank you so much for the gifted sub as well, Dekur. I really appreciate it. Tom's Army for over a year and gifting memberships to the fellow community. Vito gets the gifted sub, and thanks for being in Tom's Army now for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. And that is my face superimposed on there. Unbelievable support. Thank you so much, Dekur. What a generous, generous, generous soul you are. You're welcome, Droaz. And it's not that I don't want to. It's just, it's hard. It's hard. Cracked with tier 1 exchanges. KRAKEN is the only one that won't verify me. Interesting. That's why I was trying to understand what you're saying with Played, but it makes sense because you verify it so you can use your bank account. Huh. That's good to know. That's good to know. I wonder how many other people are dealing with it. I really do. Like, it's funny because out of the tier 1 exchanges, only Uphold pulled the stuff with us that they did. So it's funny how they have no rhyme or reason. They just attack when they see fit. But anyhow, let's get off of that. UK Phil, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Welcome in, my friend. Love seeing you in here. Me and Shane signed up for KRAKEN together. Mine worked, his didn't. See, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. There is no rhyme or reason. That's why I think, that's why I stopped. I'm not using any. I'm just staying with the tier 1 exchange because, one, I'm sick of getting, it feels like assets stolen. I mean, or at least the allure that they're going to get stolen just based on, we're just gonna take your account, and that's what happens to a lot of on the unregulated exchanges, because they're not cooperating with our regulations. They simply let you build it up and they steal it. I've seen it a million times, and it's like, and it makes perfect sense now. We have no recourse. You can't just call somebody and be like, hey, I have my account verified. This is linked to me. I need a recourse. That's not there because they won't let you verify your account. And now you start to think about it and you're like, oh, no paper trail for them. They don't have to link it to somebody. The moment that they freeze your account, they can get rid of all the digital foot. It's such a fucking scam, a lot of crypto. I really think this. Tom, for the members that are in panic, even if we look at buy, support, sell, resistance at some time in this channel, if everything remains the same, they have a chance to be made whole down 50%. Absolutely. The foundation of what I started in this community was I started to preach the support resistance levels. I preached it, and everybody thought it was funny that I thought support resistance was so important, but it's so hard, but yet so simplistic to establish that area. So like for the core members in this live, because we're getting into that back end of this live now, 46 minutes in, I would say for the core members, looking at it distinctly from a logical point from XRP, the topic of discussion is simple. This is how simple it is today from a core perspective. Do we want this market to break bullish, or are we going to have a bearish weekend? XRP holds the key because we study it so much, and I'll show you the Bitcoin core value as well. But this right here, we need to get over 220 and we can have a green weekend. It can validate a green weekend getting over this resistance that's been put into place in the micro. If this stays put, and this is from the most micro perspective I can show you, the next logical support structure that likely wouldn't be breached if we prove resistance here after a failed back test now on the push up, which I'm not saying that's what's happening, but you have to understand if it doesn't go up, it would fail this area, likely. Or even so then this becomes the most fundamental and formable zone around $1.85 this weekend. If we were to get a catastrophic rejection, it wants to send us down. I'm not saying that's going to happen because I could see it, but we need to get over this area. For Bitcoin, from a core perspective, all you need to look at is this. Write this down, take a picture, get your Etch-a-Sketch out so you can draw this out yourself if you're a 90s kid. But 92,385. Stay on top of this area. We can legitimately cook to 101K. There's nothing in between. On the Bitcoin chart, to me, and people talk about the minute, mini CME levels or FEG. I don't care about them. Those were only created because we had a gap because we had such a big drop, which works in our favor because the gap is above. So yes, they can be there, but I think it just gets you up to that rising wedge anyhow, and then it'll clear all of that out. So I know, Shane, but even when people say self-custody, to me, that doesn't even mean anything. What about self-custody? You're self-custodied within a wallet that somebody else runs that has back-end hacks available by way of our federal government to lose your crypto. So to me, it's no different than being on an exchange. If I'm just being honest, it just is. What happens with this new regulation when they say that now when you try to send it out of your wallet, you have to validate it or verify it? How many of these wallets, when the USA implements that, where they have to verify their identity in these cold wallets, is going to get rid of the USA and drop them like a hat? I'm serious. Think about it. That's why the exchanges did. Once the exchanges, the no KYC ones, the USA said, hey, you either comply with our tax laws and you do verification through KYC so we know who everybody's at every moment, or we're coming after you. They basically said, go fuck yourself. We're not going to go to the USA. What happens when the cold wallets do the exact same thing? How are we all going to get our money out if it's in a cold wallet? I'm just being honest with everybody. The cold wallet's the next one on the hit list in 26. That's why I said I'm going to the tier 1 exchanges and jump front running all of this. What do I do, Shane? I've been saying it over and over. Hold it on the tier 1 exchange. If you can. Once that, I mean, it's not. Remember, crypto was meant for privacy, so we didn't have, so we could send money without having to deal with any of the bullshit. It was supposed to be a way around the government, right? But now it's becoming the government's way, and they're trying to figure out. And so that's why this KYC and biometrics is important. It's hard when they have no KYC exchanges that are unregulated because anybody can open them in your name. They're not asking for identification. So there's no, the way to link it to you is the ones who aren't, they're trading crypto. It's showing a back and forth into their bank account from a crypto exchange, but yet they're trying to say they're not making any money off of it. Those are, and they'll say they don't trade crypto. I'm telling you, that's all going to end bad in a few years. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not with the regulations that have been in place so far. But the ones that start in 26, 27, and especially 28 is to put the loop, like there's a loophole right now. There's no doubt about it. But I feel like a lot of people that are in cold wallets, that loophole is going to end and they're going to make you verify. But I am fearing once that announcement happens and Bitcoin looks like a double bottom was put in, looks fucking great in the 2 hourly. Everything I look at in the 2 hourly, back tested the V-shaped recovery, back testing that bullish FVG right now as it looks. A double bottom, a back test of the golden cross where the 20 crossed the 50. Now we have 50 crossing the 200. Or the 20 cross 200, now the 50's crossing the 200. Very soon. This looks super bullish if this advances, and this should get us to 101 if this happens. Yep, absolutely, Ledger. And yeah, there might have been a time when you could have had tax avoidance because crypto was put that way. Sorry, guys, we got to do the tier one. The optics are all these exchanges that aren't going to comply with the laws of the U.S., not even just from a tax perspective, from a regulation standpoint. They're just going to wipe all of our accounts and they're going to steal our money. That's how you get rid of a digital blueprint. You get rid of the account. It's such a shady operation, but that's why so many exchanges, everybody says they're scam exchanges in the USA, but they operate fully in other countries. That's what they do. Most people don't understand this. That's how they steal your stuff with no recourse because they get rid of your whole footprint and they just take your money because you have no footprint. You have no ID to back you with it. Like you have no face to it. It'd be like if I was doing this channel, but I had my face not on here, anybody could do it. They could just do a voice changer and you would think it was me. But because you see my face, you can identify it as me. Even with my crazy hair today, looking like a, I don't know. But that's the issue right now. And that's what I fear is going to happen with the cold wallets. Because right now they say nobody can track it. Get away from being traced. You know, when you send it back to your exchange, blah, blah, blah. What happens when they make you identify with your ID? It's going to be the same thing that's happened with countless exchanges that are no KYC. Once the US mandates it, they say, no, we're just going to restrict all US users and whatever's in their accounts, we're just going to freeze them and we're going to say that they violated the rules of our exchange by being in an area that's restricted. And it's in our terms of service that we can 100% freeze, block, and acknowledge that they're not even in existence because that's not theirs anyhow. It's our money. You know, and they'll just keep it. That's what I've been saying, Crypto Cooter. That's my ultimate conspiracy. Everybody who was trading the unregulated markets because they could get around a lot of things. Once it all becomes regulated, you can't do it no more. There's especially the biometrics. That'll end all of this no KYC stuff very fast. So I think that's the truth. They put the ETFs in the regular market for a reason. And this has always been my conspiracy with crypto. That's why I always said 2028 to 2032 is my likely exit. But last year I said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it might be before 2028 because of the further regulations and how quickly they're being put. Eventually banks will offer to hold crypto. So I say this push, if we get it, this is our stand. If we do this right, we can take advantage of this before all the over-regulations come into play. You know, and we'll do our best. It has to be regulated. No other option so they can bring. Absolutely. How else are you going to ID them, everybody? So once you have everybody, you know, everybody settled up and they all got their IDs connected, then they can do what they need to do. But right now, you're right. It stayed unregulated so that there's ways to get around things, because who do you think benefits more? Retail getting around some of the things with the no KYC, or multi-million or billion-dollar companies that do this and do the no KYC, pay their little bit of taxes here and there when they send it out to actually, to a real exchange so they can get their money? Or how many are putting it in a cold wallet, just sending little by little? That's what they've been doing, but that's ending. Why do you think a lot of the cold wallets are waking up in 25 that haven't been awoken for 15 years? New stuff comes on the books next year. So, been great up until 25, but 26 is the start of a real crackdown, which is why I'm not using anything other than a tier 1 exchange going forward. But yeah, that's it, everybody. I hope I was able to enlighten you a little bit. I'm going to end it at that while I still have an audience before everybody unsubscribes. If you want to become a part of our audience and go a little bit deeper with the community, join Tom's Army. Upon joining in the a deeper part of this community, you get the Telegram free upon joining Tom's Army. It's just a thank you, and it took me 4 years to build that. One by one, I was inviting people after a big debacle when I tried to make it for free with everybody. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a nice way to pay it forward, show support. I spent a lot of time here. But I'm excited about not just this venture, but other ventures as well. And our opportunity here in crypto. But remember all the numbers I shared this morning. If you have to, watch it 2, 3, 4, and even 5 times. From a standpoint of gold, silver, and all of that. Again, I'll continue to be disappointed with NOG going up a couple dollars because it seems unwarranted right now. But maybe it is the return because everything's so oversold in the monthly and the weekly. I should have been buying it and just buying it on the way down. But gold's up $5. Silver's down 2.7%. I'm pretty sure we talked about this yesterday. To back test this, because we came up to the resistance pretty clearly. And now we need to back test the breakout. That's about 54.39. There's nothing I see that's wrong with this. So we'll see what happens when we consolidate. Other than that, just make good choices. Don't base them on emotion. Let's just see the crypto fear and greed index. If I can get back here tonight, we'll go through the heat liquidation map. But again, it all depends on my son. 26. 26 is the fear right now. Should be lower. A little disappointed that it went up so much. People are buying it in this area more when they weren't